So we are realizing that these labels like traditional man, traditional woman, doesn't really matter when it comes to 2025 dating in Los Angeles, California. Nothing is traditional about any of this. I just have to drop this whole idea of wanting a traditional man that's assertive. Like, I just want someone that's assertive plus this, and that. He doesn't have to be this, umbrella term of traditional because it's just a lot to unpack there. And I'm realizing that I don't believe I'm a traditional woman, and every man keeps telling me this. So here we are, back to therapy. So it's been a couple years of me really developing who I am as a person, my confidence, which I truly attribute to me really pushing forward with my faith. Like, I absolutely feel once I started going back to church and humbling myself, reflecting, praying, I've been so much better at identifying my strengths and weaknesses. And I'm still in the refining and the pruning stage for sure. I think God has been working on me in really great ways, and I'm so thankful for even this journey that I'm on right now, where I can compare notes with my therapist in the mirror, and where I'm like kind of actively dating in a way, and I'm having different sorts of experiences with men, and the conversations sometimes that I've had with friends are, kind of coming out and resurfacing while on these dates. And I had kind of not an interesting conversation with my brother and his friends, but I loudly proclaimed that I'm a traditional woman. And they're like, no. Because on multiple occasions, they have, or just men in my life, they call me forward, whether I say it or not, or agree, or whatever, and a little dominant. And every man, it seems, that I'm close to, from my mentor, male, boss, male, brother, male friends, practically say the same thing. Oh, and these men I'm dating, and have dated, that I don't listen. And I always have something to say. That's not exactly the characteristic I want. It is what it is. Like, if I always have something to say, then you must not finish that thought. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. Which is fine. But this is why I have to just throw away the whole traditional thing. I'm not. I'm not a traditional girl. Who cares about the labels? Who cares about any of that? Just, I am who I am, and I love it. Now, I receive feedback. I receive it now that 20 people have said the same thing. And I'm like, okay, I should probably listen to these men and what their feedback is. Now, I'm not going to just immediately say, oh, okay, I'm going to follow your lead, even though I do want a leader. Like, I am that person. I want a leader. I want to follow your lead, but don't just tell me what to do. Like, lead me when I feel like being led. No, just, you have to be the right person for me. And I haven't found that person to tame me yet, but I don't think that I am to be tamed. I'm not an animal. I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm so thankful for my mentor, because it's so important to have trusted counsel. It's so important to just like have someone that's, older and wiser, and someone that knows you and loves you and respects you tell you about yourself, because I think in my case, I'm just more inclined to listen. Like, when I know that you know me, because I tell you things, and you listen, and you're wise, and you're telling me not to do things that I didn't even tell you that I low-key do. And I'm like, how did you know? How did you know that I'm a girl that's yes, but to all these men? And I realize I do it way more with men than I do with women because I know that I need to be more mindful of feelings with women and more cautious. Like, I don't want to offend anyone. I think that my problem with men is sometimes I don't consider them to be emotional beings, or just maybe it's not even emotions, it's respect. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to correct you, but I guess I don't want you to correct me. Like, with women, sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna let you have it. Whatever. Totally fine. All good. I don't feel any type of way. But with men, when they have something to say, I'm like, what? Like, oh, you think that? Okay, well, actually, I disagree, and here's why. And they don't want that either. Nobody really wants an argument. And I don't ever really want to be combative, but I just feel like I'm maybe trying too hard to not go back to the person I feel like I was growing up, and not the person that I think that I was born to be or was when I was like yay high, but the person that developed through my childhood of really not feeling like I could speak up. And so eventually it kind of created this more insecure, less vocal person because I just didn't even want to deal with anything. Like, I'm just going to say, I don't know. I'm just going to bow out. But that gets to you after a certain amount of time. And I do and did have some resentment growing up. Like, I just wish I saw stronger women so that it wasn't just whatever he said goes. Like, I want to see partnership truly. And I want to know that my voice matters and that I matter and that the things I'm saying matter, you know? Um, but I think in moments I have really just gone the opposite way where I'm just questioning everything. And I think that you should, but I think that it's hard as a woman because naturally I do want to follow the lead. I think it's from what I've experienced of myself, especially with some of these men, I'm like, oh, I will follow you. I will. So I have to ask questions. I have to be yes, but because if not, then I might lose myself a little bit. And I'll want to, like, my body wants to just like let you lead, like, let you take control. Like my heart does. I'll say that. My heart does. My mind is like, no, it's a fight. I gotta fight you. I have to like assert myself and assert dominance because I'm not gonna give you the ability to dominate me. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you get to boss me around. However, I don't want to see all men like that as looking to boss me around without, probable cause. Like, you can tell me what to do. I was listening when I was getting a little chewed out yesterday, being told by this man I really like that I don't listen and that I listen to respond and not comprehend. I mean, he was kind of going in on me a little bit, and I was like, I don't think all this is necessary. But he said, I'm just giving it to you straight. I'm not doing that whole passive aggressive thing you're doing. I'm coming direct. And I said, oh, well, you ain't gotta say all that, but I don't know, I kind of like it. As long as you're not going to be like, and we're done. Like, stay the course. Just tell me about myself. It's fine. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. But also, I don't think you're right. So, how do we proceed? Like, how do I proceed with listening and not having a rebuttal to everything? Because I don't know how to like be in the middle. I'm all the way or nothing. So I'm either going to express how I feel and ask questions, and I'm not really that girl at the date sitting back like, this is great. Like, if I'm not talking or we're not talking and it's not like a conversation, I'm bored. I don't want to be here. Like, it doesn't have to be combative. It should not be ever combative. But I understand that I provoke things unintentionally, but I do. And I'm working on myself. So people just got to keep telling me about myself and have patience with me. I'm learning. That's why I'm here in therapy. But yeah, I am not the girl that I maybe thought I was. I'm not a traditional woman, so I really can't ask for a traditional man. Like, that's why I added that assertive on top of it, because I'm kind of assertive. I'm kind of type A. And two people like that can't really come together cohesively. And so let me not be in denial. Like, I don't need a beta because that's gonna piss me off. Like, you still need to be a strong man, but you need patience. You need patience, and you know, not in a way that you feel like you have to break me down. Obviously, like, don't try to do that, because I feel like I've experienced that, and this might be why it's so hard to listen sometimes, because I don't want to fall victim to where I think I've been at in the past, where I just listen and I'm like, okay, if that's what you want. And I'm like, wait a second, why am I listening to you? You know, you aren't any good. You're not good for me. What you're saying is crazy. And it's just like this conflict where, yeah, most men are just kind of like, you're a lot. But I'm also just like the sweetest thing ever. But I might provoke. I might just poke you a little bit, and I'm truly not trying to. So when you call me out, because you will, because you'll be fed up at some point, I will listen. And it might take a second to really register, because I'm gonna have something to say. But I think it works when you know my heart. Like, you know, I'm always coming from a good place. I'm really not ever trying to be offensive. It's not something I want to do. I don't like that. I just want love. That's it. And speaking of love, I am going to refocus a little bit on the direction of this podcast, the second series, as I feel like this was kind of beta testing. I want this dating experience to really be all about love. That's where I'm at. And I want love in every capacity. I want to date with love. And so that when I'm out, even tonight on my date, I'm like, regardless of what this is and what this turns into, like, I don't want to lead anyone on, but I do still want to show up all the time from a place of love. Like, we'll go out, we'll have a good time because I'm a good time. And we're going to just like share love with each other. It doesn't have to be romantic love all the time, or whatever it is. Maybe we're just friends. Maybe it's platonic love. So I want to also make sure that when loving a person is on the table, that it's me that I choose first and foremost, and figuring out what love really means. It's not just a feeling, it's actions. It's executing on, these roles you have and this life that you want to have. Like, I want all of these things, but if I don't love myself enough, I can fall into a trap and get something else, especially because I'm only operating from feels sometimes, that I'm like, that's not really loving myself. Like, yeah, this guy makes me all giddy, but he can't provide for me. So how are you loving yourself if you're spending a lot of time with him and now you're getting sprung and in love and all this? And it's like, no, just love is not enough. Like, I want to come into dating with love as the foundation. Love is what we need, 100%. But I don't think it's all we need. We still have to be strategic. And I was woken up the other morning by a dream that I had that kind of got me thinking about the urgency that I need to have when it comes to my faith, because that's going to direct my love, and it gives me love, and God gives me love. And I'm like, I need to focus on following God, and He will lead me. And like this guy was saying the other day in between our disagreements, he was like, I feel like you need to stop looking for something. And he was talking about looking for a traditional man, or just these labels, whatever, that he's annoyed by. Probably because he's not traditional in any way, shape, or form. But he was just like, you need to just let things happen. And I agree to a degree. I think that I need to be a more active student and wait actively. Like, really focus on spiritual growth, emotional, personal, financial, and the good will come. And so in moments, I'm like, well, you got to go after it. Faith without works is dead. But I need to still develop my faith properly and really, really have faith that the right person is coming. So you don't have to go searching. I think that I'm in a great situation now that I'm not feeling like I'm chasing love. In moments, I am a little forward and a little just like, well, I'm going to do it. Let's go out, kind of. Where I'm still like, well, yeah, I've kind of still done that a little bit. But he was right. I don't want to chase anything. And in moments, I'm like, are you taking yourself out the equation? Because some of the things you're saying, they are so accurate and so true, but that means you got to go. Like, if I stand firm on some of these things, you're not going to be here anymore. I want to just really focus on my relationship with God in this dating journey. I can't do this properly without him. Now, I feel like I'm finally at a place where I trust myself a little bit more because I've grown as a person personally and emotionally, and I'm taking feedback. I'm applying things as much as possible. And so I'm like, okay, I don't think that I would mess up my husband now. Like, in the past, I'm like, thank God he didn't put my husband, I don't think so. But I would have squandered him because I just was not ready. I was not just capable, just a lot of things. Wasn't mature, wasn't confident, didn't really love myself, didn't have boundaries. But now I do. Now I have boundaries. Now, I've gone through some things and I'm like, wait a second. I don't need this. And I actually don't want it. And I don't even think I want it anymore. Like, I'm not tempted by certain things and certain influences the same way I was before at all. And so God's like, okay, here you go. You said you want to date. You say you want to get married. You say this, this, and that. And I've been speaking it. And so now I'm receiving it, like, physically. And it's not going bad, but there are obviously still things I need to work on. I still need to work on my listening, on my ears, and my boundaries. I'm so happy, again, that these men are being respectful of my boundaries. I was so thankful for that wake-up call. And if I believe that he gives me the desires of my heart, as long as they're within his will, then it's going to come. And I need to be patient. I need to constantly seek him in his guidance and his counsel, because I know what it looks like and what it feels like to not. I've made so many mistakes because I haven't been mindful of what the word says and what the truth is and what love really is. And now I want to play the game different. So I want to start off with devotionals and scriptures and just being mindful in my faith. And yeah, that moment was like, you're not doing it. And it felt like a good conviction though. Like, you're right. God's not going to give me somebody that disturbs my peace. And so I don't want to be in a space where God is convicting me and I don't listen. And then he's just like, well, you keep pushing me, so I'm out. Because he can't be around sin. So, I don't even want to have a sinful heart and mind where I'm thinking about things that I have no business thinking about. And plus, I want my husband to follow God. That's a non-negotiable. So I'm over here playing around right now. Because I'm like, I know one of y'all is not for sure. But why you gotta make me feel so lovey? That's the tricky part, where it's like your brain, especially as a woman, I think, because I think we're just more inclined to love and nurture and all this stuff. That's what we're here for. That's our instinct. And so for me, I'm like, why do you have to be bad? Why do you have to do bad things? And I need to be more convicted about that, because morally, not okay. Why is my heart, and why am I allowing myself to follow my heart, especially so early on? And we know that the heart can betray you. It's not something that we should just blindly follow. And so I think I trust myself a lot more because I'm also putting in the work and I've done the time with just bad dating experiences and bad relationships that I'm doing better because I know better. But my heart is still like, ah, oh, it's just dreamy, even though you kind of irritate me. And there are definitely icks. I'm like, but I like this in ways. So, but I gotta be smart, still strategy, and it's gotta be God focused and centered. And so I want to really lean into that because I know I don't have the answers. You don't have the answers because you're me. You're just looking at me. And I'm just looking at you. And it's just word vomit. And it's like, okay, I think I understand. I think, just say it out loud. And sometimes you really just do have to get it off your chest. But, you know, then what? It's off your chest. Now you go back to them. Now you call them and cupcake for 2 hours. That can't be smart. So, gotta read the Bible. Gotta know what the principles are, and then how to apply those principles, and understanding that they're good and they're right. Because if I make the rules, I'm gonna break the rules. And I also don't know which rules to make. I'm over here making rules like, okay, but I'm just gonna do it for an hour, or he's only gonna come over for an hour, or we're just gonna talk for an hour. Hour comes and it's like, no, 2 hours is fine. Actually, let us spend the night. Whatever. You guys aren't going to do anything. But it's still that time being spent and built and all that is not on track. So I got to take a note from these men's handbook. When it doesn't serve you, it's done. Like, this isn't for me. I love me more than I love you, and I will always love me more because you're not my husband. And you are teaching me and telling me that time after time after time and showing me that you're not. So I can't put you first because that's ultimately what I'm doing. When I'm not following the proper path for me, knowing that this is not going to lead to fruit and fruitfulness, then I am putting you first now. And I'm not practicing faith. I'm clearly not talking to God. I must not be. So that ends here.